largest swastika on the face of the planet at the Coronado Naval Base in San Diego. How many of you folks have never seen this? Raise your hand. How many folks are having your mind blown right now? Raise your hand. All right? Again, let's take another look at it. This is the Coronado Naval Base. You can do this at home.
They just got like $60 million or something like that.
It's 600,000. 600,000. See, what happened is that when this happened, I saw this and I was just as shocked as many of you are seeing this for the first time. So what we did is we put together a news release. This was back in July of last year. We're talking a year and a half ago. So I wrote a news release. I sent copies to the Department of the Navy, the Department of Defense, the Base Commander, Department of Justice. I sent them to the ADL, the Anti-Defecation League. Oh, Defamation League. I call them Anti-Defecation because I think they're full of, well, anyway. But the bottom line here is I sent these out to all these different organizations, human rights organizations, and started screaming from the rooftops. And nothing happened at first. I did get one response from Rumsfeld's office. And basically, another one from the base commander. And basically what it said in the letter is that, well, we are sort of aware of the implication of the design of the building, but it was built in 1967. I'll be quite honest with you. We didn't really recognize what it was going to look like till halfway through construction. They said they didn't know what it was looked like till halfway through construction. Excuse me, didn't you look at the flaming blueprint? How about the architectural drawing or the artist's rendition?
And they also build little pulpwood loans.
There you go. So anyway, so here we have on the Coronado Naval Base the largest swastika on the face of the planet, and I do a news release a year and a half ago. Well, my screaming and crying fell on deaf ears, but as I traveled around the country speaking at different groups like this, and speaking at Paymon's thing, and Steve Hempling's thing, and going out to California speaking on, I said, folks, contact somebody. I can't do it myself. I'm talking about it on the radio show. I'm sending out news releases. I'm putting out certified return receipt letters to all the people in the government. They won't answer. We need everybody to do it. So guess what? People started to do it. And I got a phone call from the Los Angeles Times, and the guy called me up. He says, hey, I've been doing a little bit of research and found out that you put this thing out about a year and a half ago, didn't you? And I said, yes, I did. I said, well, he says, apparently it's finally taken hold because some of the organizations here, the Anti-Defamation League, the Human Rights Organization, there's another one. But anyway, they all got on board and they started screaming at the base commander. And the point was that they decided to allocate $600,000 to make an alteration to the roof of the building and do some landscaping, put up some solar panels or something so it wouldn't look like a swastika from outer space. Well, that's all well and good, but I said, well, I want to know why it was built to symbolize a swastika in the first place. All right? So anyway, I get a phone call from Fox News. And they say, yes, we understand that you're the person that was putting this out about a year and a half ago. I said, yes. And they said, well, we'd like to talk to you about this swastika. Would you be willing to come on Fox News? I said, yeah. Here's how it went on Fox News just about 6 weeks ago.
Very cute. All right, well, from the ground, it looks like your average building. From the sky, this Navy complex forms the shape of a swastika. Now, a whole lot of confidence has been building up after people started spotting this symbol of hate on Google Earth. The U.S. Navy, who owns the building, says it will spend more than $500,000 to obscure the image. Davidson Kleist is the co-host of the Power Hour and has been championing this cause since the middle of last year. Is that right?
Well, that's right, Laura. That's not just me. I'm just the messenger. I'm the person who happened to ring the bell. In this particular situation, our listeners and many people all over the country actually came out of their homes to answer the call. It's not unlike what's going on right now with the Ron Paul revolution. Became alarmed when they saw this and responded.
Okay, but let me point out, and I'm just playing devil's advocate with you here. The thing was built 40 years ago. The builders say it was not intentional. You can't even see it unless you happen to be on Google Earth, so what's the big deal?
Well, I find it very difficult, and a lot of the other people that have seen this find it difficult to accept the idea that they didn't look at the blueprint or the artist renditions or the architectural drawings. Symbolism plays a very large role in our society. It sends a very quiet message to other people who are aware of the symbols. And in this particular case, we're talking about a symbol that represents a regime that would lie to its own people, burn its own buildings, blame innocent people, take down all citizens' rights, and then launch a war based upon lies and fraud.
There's no doubt that this is a very troubling thing. It's so clear. It can't be any clearer than that. The Navy is promising to spend $600,000 on this. Do you know what they're planning to do to try to obscure the image?
Well, according to the Los Angeles Times story, they're going to put up solar panels and make some other landscape changes, etc., maybe add a couple things. I don't know what they're going to do structurally. The issue is that this structure has been there for, as you mentioned, nearly 40 years. The question is, why was it built to look like this from the sky in the first place? I mean, this is only 22 years after the end of the Second World War. The memories were very clear in America's minds at that particular time. And for anyone to build a structure, and like I mentioned before, not notice the architectural drawings or the blueprints, I mean, to say that we didn't realize what it looked like until it was half finished is a very lame excuse. We simply want to know why this message was being sent among their certain quiet private circles.
Well, lame or not, the Navy is taking care of it. We'd love to have you back on again after they obscure it and see what your reaction is then. Davidson Kleist with the Power Hour in Jefferson City, Missouri. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, there we go. There are a growing number of people that are talk show hosts, television talking heads, that are becoming more and more blatant about their disdain for you, your rights in this country. As of late, I think it was about a week ago, Glenn Beck was on television stating that the Ron Paul followers should be considered as domestic terrorists. Yes. Now, this is not new. Glenn Beck has been doing this for quite some time. Now, you may recall on the video, on the documentary that you just saw, The Ripple Effect, we showed a little bit of what happened on the Glenn Beck show. There was so much more. And I want you to, I'm going to play the whole piece now. It's about 6 minutes, and then we're going to call it quits on the video clips. But I wanted you to see how Glenn Beck carried this whole thing. Watch him carefully, because he starts to get really nervous. And I want to tell you the story about how this happened. As I mentioned in The Ripple Effect, I got a phone call from CNN because they put out the news release having to do with Jamie McIntyre contradicting himself about what happened at the Pentagon and what he said the day before they released the so-called new footage from the Pentagon showing the plane hitting it. So when I put out the news release, they called me up and they wanted to have me on to discuss the events of September 11th. And when I was on the phone with the producer, and I don't remember what her name was, I said to her, so obviously you're calling me because, you know, I've done this video of questioning the official story of 9/11. She said, that's right. So well, look, the reason you're calling me is because the video deals exclusively with photographic and video evidence. So common sense would tell me that if you're going to talk to me with Glenn Beck, you're going to refer to some of this evidence. So I'd like to be able to show this. And this, well, we're going to have to find out where those clips are and whether or not we can get releases. I said, well, I have copies of it. I'll bring the DVD. You won't have to look for them at all. Well, okay, well, we'll talk about it with the producers and stuff like that. Let's call you back. In the meantime, we're going to set you up to go up to Jefferson City to a studio there. We'll hook up by satellite link. Can you be there by like 3 o'clock? I said, fine, okay, blah, blah, blah. But get back to me about this. So anyway, she calls me back. I'm just getting ready to leave. They say, yeah, it's going to be a short interview. It's only going to be about 5 or 6 minutes. I don't think we'll have time to get into any detail or depth about the video clips. I said, ma'am, the whole reason you called me is because of the video that I did. And the documentary, the evidence there is what's created the whole controversy. That's why you called me. I said, I'll be more than happy to bring them with me. I have 8.5 glossies. I have the video. She says, well, I'll have one of our producers call me. So I said, okay, fine. So here I am, I'm in the car, I'm driving to Jeff City, I'm going to be in their studio in just about half an hour. My phone rings again. He says, okay, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm this producer for the Glenn Beck Show. Yeah, we're having a little bit of a problem locating the photographs that you were talking about at the Pentagon. I said, that's no problem, I have them with me. He says, yeah, well, we've got to have them here. I said, I understand. I said, well, what about the video clips? The video clips of the planes hitting the towers. And he says, well, that's a real problem because we have to get release forms. I said, excuse me? You're CNN, aren't you? And he said, yes. I said, well, the video clips were on CNN. You don't need